Hey gang, it's Jeff, and we've got Jill with us tonight, our wonderful producer who's going to go through your questions. We are coming to you on Monday night because I'm going on vacation tomorrow, so I won't be able to answer your questions because I won't be anywhere near a camera tomorrow at 7 p.m. At any rate, before we get started, let me start off by reading the usual disclaimer, required reading from the state of New York. Many of the questions we cover here are nuanced. We do our best to answer them, but our responses are meant to be directional, not exact. Your situation may require more detail than we can give in a live stream. This live stream is for educational purposes only. We haven't had the chance to speak with you one-on-one, so please treat this information as general guidance, not advice to act upon. For anything specific to your situation, make sure you talk with a qualified professional. Speaking of qualified professionals, if you have questions about Medicare, give our trusted partner at Chapter a call. I put their phone number into the live stream before we even started this time, 440-703-1224. That way I don't have to fumble with the buttons over here when I should be talking to you. Having said all of that, Jill, why don't you start off with the questions and lead the way?
All right, great. So as usual, please do put your questions into the chat box regarding Social Security tonight. We would love to take your questions live. So I will keep an eye on the chat box for those as everybody filters in tonight. Skipper's saying, have a great vacation, Jeff. So
thank you, Skipper.
So we will start with some of the emailed questions. We did get a lot of emailed questions tonight. So let's start with Sanders' question. I have a 19 earning years in my Social Security record. After returning to work for the last 3 years and earning about $18,000 to $23,000 annually, how much might my benefit increase when I claim at age 70? Also, how are COLAs applied before someone starts benefits?
Yep. So if I understand the question correctly, you have how many years of zeros, did you say, Jill? Because my questions are in a different order than yours.
19 earning years.
19 earning years. And you have how many years total?
It says 19 earning years in my Social Security record. After returning to work for the last 3 years and earning about $18,000 to $23,000 annually, how much might my benefit increase when I claim at age 70?
Okay, so a few things before we get to the benefit increase. Job one here is to make sure that you get 10 years of earnings on your record. I'm not sure if you're saying you have 19 years and you have 19 zeros and the rest of the 35 are earnings, or if you have 19 zeros, but you need 10 years of earnings records before you even qualify for Social Security. So, and then the second part of the question was, how much might your Social Security increase if you wait? How many more years, Jill?
3 years to work for the last 3 years.
So 3 years brings you to what age?
It does not say current age. Sander, if you are on, if you could let us know your current age, because he says after returning to work for the last 3 years and earning $18,000 to $23,000, how much might my benefit increase when I claim at age 70?
Okay, I'm assuming that you're not 70 yet. So you get two things coming your way. The first is you get 8% per year from age 67 to age 70. So that's an additional 24%. And if you've got 19 years of zeros and you have the balance, which would be 16 years of earnings records, and you add 13 more onto that, that's a total of 19 years versus 16. That's not insignificant. And so your big move here is going to be getting the uplift for waiting until age 70. That's going to be really meaningful for you. And just doing back of the envelope math, assuming that your earnings are higher now than they were when you first started working, then it should be a reasonable jump.
Okay, next question. comes from Marianne. She's asking, what do you think about claiming Social Security at full retirement age while continuing to work and investing the benefit payments?
Sorry, repeat that one more time. You faded out.
What do you think about claiming Social Security at full retirement age while continuing to work and investing the benefit payments?
This is a question that comes up a lot, and I would say the biggest aspect of this question is, number one, how are you going to pay your bills? If you're going to work past the earnings limit, then you're going to have a problem because you have to give back $1 for every 2 over the earnings limit. So you really do have to thread the needle on this in order to make it work. So people do it, but they do it. They do it in a way that it allows you to manage that earnings limit issue. Maybe a partner works, I don't know, but people do it. But there's something that's really important to remember here, and that is you have the issue of making sure that you don't breach that earnings limit, because if you do, then everything goes to pieces. Also, you're taking 2 different types of cash flows. You're taking your Social Security cash flow, and which is a fixed guaranteed cash flow, and you're trying to transform it into a Social Security or into an investment cash flow, which is a much different type of cash flow. And so one is certain, the other is not. And so therefore you got to be really careful when you think about what you do with this, because people, generally speaking, would use the Social Security cash flow as a certainty, cash flow of certainty, whereas the investment cash flow, you're taking some risk. So there is a difference there.
All right, great. So Andy is asking, have you reviewed OpenSocialSecurity.com, and do you think it's a good tool for deciding when to claim Social Security?
I have reviewed it. It's a good tool. What I like about it is it allows you to input information and make some assumptions about things like inflation and discount rates. It's really good if you're trying to analyze a couple versus an individual, because things start to get more complex when you're taking a couple into account. The one thing I would say that you have to be careful of is you're making assumptions. You are making assumptions, not the software. And so if you get your assumptions wrong, then the output is going to be wrong. But it's like anything. There are a lot of good Social Security calculators out there. If you go onto my website, holyschmidt.com, and type in the word calculator, you'll get about 15 different calculators you can use. And those 15 calculators are the ones that cover everything from Social Security, Roth conversions to you name it. And so there are a lot of good calculators out there, but this one is a really sensible one. It's a good one. Just watch your assumptions when you do use it.
All right, next question comes from Cap. And he is asking, my Social Security statement shows only a 5% increase from full retirement age to age 68. Why doesn't it show the full 8% delayed retirement credit? And is any difference paid retroactively?
Yeah, so let me get to the crux of the question you're worried about, because people, being human beings, worry about things. The crux of the question is, did they forget? And did they not give me the right amount? The answer is really unlikely that they didn't give you the right amount. What's more likely is that Social Security accrues monthly. You don't have to take your Social Security payment on an anniversary of your birthday. It still still confuses me. Well, probably doesn't confuse me. I know exactly why it happens because it's advertised that way. But people think that they have to choose their Social Security payment on their 1 year, 62, 63, 64, 65, and they have no other options. But in reality, you have options every single month, and those options allow you to choose 5 months in. So what you might be seeing is something that accumulates the first 6, 7, 8 months, and it hasn't recalculated for the full year yet because they're not going to be exact. But you don't worry, they're not going to forget you, and you will get the payment that you're due.
Okay, great. So next question comes from Skipper. My son-in-law has most of her retirement funds in annuities. She'll be 66 this year. Full retirement age is 67. She was wondering if she should convert them into Roth IRAs or take from them as an augment to her Social Security.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that one more time?
Yes. My son-in-law has most of her retirement funds in annuities. She'll be 66 this year. Full retirement age is 67. She was wondering if she could convert them into Roth IRAs or take from them as an augment to her Social Security.
Well, if they're in annuities, they would be an augment to your Social Security, because an annuity typically pays an amount certain every single year, month, however you structure it. And in terms of converting to any other type of instrument, the most common form of conversion is a conversion from a 401k or an IRA into a Roth. There are a lot of provisions inside of annuities that would probably prevent them from doing this, but you actually have to look at the information inside your annuity.
All right. Terry Tennant is asking, are widow benefits based on his recent Social Security amount or his PIA?
The widow benefit is based on the amount that the deceased was receiving, not the primary insurance amount. The spousal benefit is based on the primary insurance amount, but there is a difference between the two. A lot of people get those two confused. They think that the spousal benefit and the survivor benefit, which is what we're talking about here, are the same thing, and they're not.
Okay, great. So next question comes from Rob. And Rob is asking, how do COLAs work between age 60 and the age you claim benefits? Also, is wage indexing based on the year you turn 60 or the year you actually file for Social Security?
So two things. One, it's based on the year you turn 60. So once you turn 60, they stop indexing your wages and they're frozen. And so that is the year where a lot of things change. The other thing that changes is that everything from that point forward is a 1. You don't get an index on any earnings after age 59. So 60 onward, you get a 1. The cost of living adjustment, however, is given to you starting at age 62, whether you actually claim Social Security or not. So all of the elements that you receive, every single increase that you see on the Social Security schedule, is given to you. And if you're not taking Social Security, you also get the cost of living adjustment. And people get confused on this all of the time. They think they get either or. No, you get both. And this is supremely important, because if all you got was the Social Security increase that's advertised, 2022 or 2023, I think we had an 8% inflation year, you would have come up negative. And so you do get both. But they are different measures too. The wage index is based on wage inflation, not price inflation. Now people are got to be saying, well, what's the difference? There is a difference. Wage inflation is based on what's going on in the market. So if I'm an engineer in 1986 and I'm getting paid $20,000 a year, and I'm an engineer in 2026 and I'm getting paid $80,000 a year, it's about the same income with wage inflation. But if you took those same two data points and you said what was the cost of living adjustment from 1986 to 2026, was it 4x? Now it'd probably be closer to 5. Actually, I should know the actual answer to that, but it's the cost of living adjustment actually is slightly bigger because wage indexes basically are driven by the market and how people are paid. And there's a lot of competition in compensation these days. And so there's a lot of wage deflation. I think it's the only way to describe it. My daughter tells me about it all the time. And she's looking for a job now, and she's out there and she's shocked at how low the income is.
All right, next question comes from Craig. Craig is asking, if I claim Social Security effective December 1 and later ask Social Security to withhold my December payment because I'm still working, can I then switch from the monthly earnings test to the annual earnings test in January?
Well, if you claim Social Security in December, then you only have a 1 month monthly earnings test. The earnings test is a calendar year test. It's not a 12-month test. So if you claimed it in January and you blew through that number in January, you're going to have to give $1 back for every 2 over, I'm assuming that this isn't your full retirement age year, over $2,040. But starting in January, it becomes an annual test. So effectively, your risk if I understand what you're asking, your risk is, I want the annual test. I don't want the monthly test. That risk is 1 month.
Okay, Mark is asking, how should someone nearing retirement plan for Social Security's funding shortfall? Should we expect Congress to act, or should we plan for a possible 20% benefit reduction?
So this is a question that comes up every live stream, and it came up three times in the email list in 3 different ways. One was, so we only included it once because we're not going to answer the same question 3 different ways. But one person asked, is it going to happen? The second person asked, how should we plan for it? And the third person was asking a question about what processes they go through to make the decision about what to do next. So I say this, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't think it's very likely that Congress won't act. I don't think that you've got 70 million people that are receiving some form of Social Security. Imagine what happens if in 2032, I think the numbers, the month that's projected is December 2032, if nothing is done. Imagine what happens in December of 2032 if 70 million people get a 22% cut in their Social Security payment. First of all, about a third of them that's their only form of income. So immediately you've got a third of the people that are going to be in dire straits. They're already struggling a bit. Now you put them in dire straits. The second is that we have history on this. The history is what happened in 1983. We were in the same exact or near exact situation where we were 2 months out from the Social Security trust being depleted. And 2 months out, and by the way, this is not a political issue, although I'm going to use political parties here. Both sides have said that they support and fully intend to support Social Security. It's sacrosanct. They won't let this happen. But in 1983, you had the Democrats and the Republicans that were battling it out, and they were each trying to make each other look bad. And there was a group, and so they couldn't get a bill passed to support Social Security. We were 2 months away. And there was a group of 8 bipartisan congressmen, I believe, maybe it was senators, that got together, and they formed a group that pushed it through. And what they did is they raised the tax on Social Security, your FICA, from 5.4% to 6.2%. That dealt with the funding issue. And actually that started to improve the trust. It was 2 months from depletion. It peaked, by the way, in 2020. So, and it was like 2.8 trillion in 2020. So it's not like it's been going down since the year 2000 or 2005 or 2010. It peaked in 2020. But the other issue was that they wanted to make sure that it was going to stay in place for the long term. So they raised full retirement age. Now, anybody who is 66 years or approaching 67 years, anybody who's near 67, let's say, gets really nervous when I say that they raise full retirement age, because a lot of people are saying, I'm 67, I'm full retirement age for me is 67. They better not raise it to age 68. They raised it from 65 to 67, but started that 17 years in the future. So 1983, starting in 2020, it was going to go 1 month per year from the year 2000 all the way up to 2027. And so basically, anybody who retires in 2027, their full retirement age is age 67. But they didn't stick it to the people that were about ready to retire. Nobody wants nothing to be done. Nobody wants 70 million people in a situation where they're going to be either homeless, moving back in with the kids, or something much worse. So my firm belief is that they're going to get it fixed. What they did last time is they raised the FICA tax by 8.8%. I don't know what they'll do this time. It's probably something similar. There's so many different proposals out there, and there are think tanks that have generated so many different options. All someone needs to do is pick one and push it through. I think that's the likely outcome.
All right. So Geekware is asking if we have the ability to turn on closed captioning. And if not, we could look into that. But then wants to know, will there be a transcript available after the event?
So closed captioning is something that is available on, depends on which platform you're on. I'm assuming you're on YouTube and not one of the others. But if you're on YouTube, once YouTube is done processing this live stream, it goes back, and about 10 minutes later, it adds captions. Unfortunately, it can't do it in real time. I suppose the technology might be there someday, but that would be pretty good if they could do that. But what it does do, and they do it with my videos too, is you load it, and as long as I load the videos 10 minutes or longer before they actually launch, by the time they launch, the closed captioning's there. Same thing here. Check it about 10 minutes after we're done, maybe an hour after we're done, and it should be captioned at that point, because we've approved captioning on the live stream. So it's just a matter of YouTube processing it.
Okay, and is a transcript available as well?
Yep, you can just go right on YouTube, and you can just go to the bottom of the description, and there's a button that says transcript. Click the transcript button, and it'll be on your right-hand side.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Ricky is asking, when benefits are withheld because of the earnings test before full retirement age, how are those withheld benefits returned once you reach full retirement age?
Sure. Well, this is one of the things that it's a little bit frustrating. So what happens is you get them back in the form of a higher payment. It's as if you never paid them in, you never received the funds in the first place. Just like when you wait to claim, whatever you had to give back goes back in, and it's put back into the calculation, and it comes back to you in the form of a higher payment. And so if that's the case, if you have funds that you have to give back, they come back to you in the form of a higher payment, and work just like any other delay with payments.
Okay, great. So Melody Beatrice is asking, I turned 65 a week ago. I've been receiving my pension since July 1st, the year I turned 62. If I start taking Social Security this year or any time between now and 67, and I wait until I'm 70 or older to draw from my IRAs, will I have to pay taxes on Social Security? and pension?
Social Security taxes, you and your neighbor could have the same Social Security payment, and you could owe taxes on it and your neighbor wouldn't. And then the reason is because of the other stuff that goes into taxes on Social Security. It's called provisional income. And your tax is based on not only your Social Security payment, but provisional income is your adjusted gross income plus 1/2 your Social Security payment plus any interest, tax-free interest you receive. That all gets added together, and if you exceed certain thresholds, then you have exceeded provisional income levels. And just using my handy Social Security quick guide here, which is available free at holyschmidt.com/quick guide, you can provisional income, taxes on Social Security if you're single. If your provisional income is in excess of $25,000, anything you receive up to 50% of your Social Security tax, up to 50% of your Social Security payment may become taxable. Doesn't mean you pay 50% tax. It just means that it may become taxable. If it's above 34,000, then up to 85% may become taxable. If you're married filing jointly, 32,000 and 44,000 are the levels where your Social Security payment may become taxable. Now, why do I say may become taxable? Because there are a lot of tax deductions that are either standard now, including the new 65 plus deduction, which is $6,000 per person, or a lot of people have just itemized deductions that take them safely into deep 5-figure or even 6-figure income. So if you have enough deductions, then none of your Social Security is taxable. But it just means it becomes a portion of it becomes ordinary income for income tax purposes, and you have to rely on deductions, standard or itemized deductions.
Okay, and for whoever is just joining now, we thank you for accommodating our change in evening this week. Jeff is leaving on vacation tomorrow, Tuesday. So in order to not miss a week, he changed to doing the live stream tonight. There were a couple of people wondering if you were still going to be on tomorrow night. So
No, tomorrow I will not be in front of a camera. I will be somewhere out in the world on vacation and trying to catch up on some much needed sleep.
All right. Well, we wish you a very good vacation. Next question is coming from Scott. Scott is asking, does receiving a military pension after 20 years of service affect Social Security benefits or calculations?
Usually not, no. So when you're in the military, you contribute to Social Security, and you also receive military pay, and under a lot of circumstances, actually military pensions. A lot of that depends on how long you served and a few other things. But Social Security is usually not affected by being in the military. The question really is it's a question based on something called the windfall elimination provision or the government pension offset, which were both eliminated a few years ago. But even back then, the military wasn't affected by either one of those. And so no, probably not.
Okay, Melody had a follow-up question. She had asked earlier, her question is back here about she had turned 65 a week ago, the one that you had just answered. And she is following that up with saying, you had mentioned about provisional income. And provisional income is what? She's not sure what that is. Is that my pension?
No, provisional income is, and I wish that there was one common definition of income in the world, but there are so many. But our government has two that are important. One is provisional income, and the other is modified adjusted gross income. Provisional income is used to determine if your Social Security is taxable. It's a calculation that you can do, or you can just get it right off your tax return in most cases. It's 1/2 of your Social Security payment plus your adjusted gross income plus your interest-free income. You add that all together, and that's your provisional income. You compare that to the numbers that we talked about earlier, and that is the determinant on whether you should or whether you may be paying taxes on Social Security or not.
All right. Ronnie's question. I don't think I just asked this. If I delay Social Security from full retirement age until age 70, will my surviving spouse receive the higher delayed benefit amount or only the amount I was entitled to at full retirement age?
You asked a different question, similar but different enough so that, and this is an important one. If you delay claiming Social Security, then your spouse gets the higher benefit adjusted for his or her own age. Now, let me explain what I mean. If you wait until age 70 and your full retirement age is age 67, then you would qualify for 124% of your full retirement age benefit. If something happened to you after age 70, well, then that's the base for your partner. Now, if your partner is younger than you, and that happens a lot, then they have a haircut on that amount. And that haircut is based on their age. If they're at full retirement age or higher, there is no haircut. If they're under full retirement age, then it's reduced based on the age that they claim the survivor benefit.
Okay, great. So there's a question from Gary, retired cable guy, and he's asking about IRMA. What do you think about using the QCD strategy?
QCD, for people that don't know what QCD is, that's qualified charitable contribution. And basically at 70 and a half, you can start contributing, if you're single, up to $111,000 per year to a qualified charity. It is an interesting and very, very useful aspect of the tax law, because the way that it works is you deposit to your retirement account with pre-tax dollars. And the assumption is that when you take the money out of your retirement account, you're going to pay taxes on it. But if you direct your retirement account to pay the charity directly, then you don't recognize that money as income, which means that you don't pay taxes on it, and it doesn't get calculated in your IRMA surcharge. And it qualifies as your required minimum distribution if you do it later, 73 or 75, depending on your age. And so I think it's a great provision for this group. And I've often wondered if it's ever going to be eliminated, but if you have charitable aspirations, it's something to definitely consider, because it is a powerful option.
All right. And Jeff held up a Social Security quick guide just a few moments ago. And so for whoever's interested in that, you can get that on his website. I have put the link there. It says Social Security quick guide in the chat box. And that's send to holyschmidt or go to holyschmidt.com/quick guide, and you'll have access to that. All right. Teresa Rose is asking, if I start collecting Social Security and keep working, can my monthly payments increase each year if I put in higher income years into my top 35? I will be 65 next month.
Yeah, for sure. And this is something we're going to talk about, what I mentioned before in just a moment about the earnings limit, but this is something that a lot of people, particularly if they're at full retirement age or older, they do it. And you got to remember what happens as people get older, their income power grows. And so someone who's still working at 65, 66, 67, 68, particularly if they enjoy their job and they have no intention of stopping, are often earning more and more money than they would have on a relative basis to what they were earning at the beginning of their career. And so remember how we talked early on about those 19 zeros that someone had, and how reducing those zeros increases the check? Well, if you increase your earnings from your prior, your weakest of your 35 years, if you add strong earnings there, then that will increase the size of your check. Now, you still have the earnings limit until you reach full retirement age. And so is it a good idea to work and claim Social Security if you're going to go through the earnings limit? I wouldn't recommend it because you have to give everything back anyway if you have a big earnings year, and you'll effectively be in the same spot more or less as if you hadn't claimed at all until full retirement age. So watch the earnings limit. If this is a non-full retirement age year, it's $24,480 or $2,040 a month in your first year. If you're not earning past those, then it's and you're managing historically super low earnings, then it's not a bad idea at all.
Okay, great. And Teresa Rose also wanted to let you know she called Chapter today. They were great, and she is thanking you for the recommendation.
Yeah, Chapter's awesome. I mean, for those of you who don't know, channels we have to fund ourselves somehow. We have to pay for just a tremendous amount of research, and staff got a reasonable sized staff now, and the only way to do that is to actually have income coming in. And we get, and I'm not exaggerating, 25 or 30 requests a month, maybe even in some weeks a week, from people that want to be affiliates of ours. And we've only chosen 3 in the entire time we have run this channel. We've only worked with 3. Chapter's one of them. And the reason is because we did a lot of work with them, and they're just wonderful people. I actually went out and met them. I guess it was about 2 months ago. I met their advisors, and I shook hands with like 50 or 60 people, and just it was really great to talk to them. They kept asking, what more can we do to help? You know, we want to help your viewers. I said, just make sure you treat them right. And but I do believe that they're going to do a great job for you if you give them a call.
Yes, and sometimes we do have one of their founders on here, Ari Parker. Many of you are familiar with him, and he did write a great book called It's Not That Complicated that really spells out a lot about Medicare. And if you are interested in that book, I have put that into the chat box that you can email to livestream@holyschmidt.com, type Ari's book, and we will send that to you completely free, just to give you that for added information. All right, great. So let's go to the next question, and that comes from, just scrolling down, John. John's question is, my wife and I took a one-time $200,000 IRA withdrawal in 2025, which significantly increased our AGI. Could that temporary income spike affect future Medicare Part B or Part D premiums if we enroll later under a special enrollment period?
So based on the way you're asking the question, probably not. But let me explain to you the nuance here. Your IRMA surcharge, which is what you're asking about, the Part B IRMA surcharge or the Part D IRMA surcharge, if you're talking about the drug benefit, is based on your modified adjusted gross income from 2 years earlier. If you're still working and your modified adjusted gross income from this is further back, than 2 years ago, then it won't affect your surcharge because it's been more than 2 years. It's a one-time event. It happens in the year, and then it affects your surcharge 2 years later, but it doesn't continue on. It's a 1-year thing. And so if it happens 3 years ago, then you're clear. If it happens 2 years ago and you're on Medicare, then you're probably gonna have to pay the IRMA surcharge.
All right. So Mr. Tumac is asking, when transferring a Roth 401k from work into a Roth IRA at my broker, should I choose the Roth that has been open for over 5 years, or is it okay to transfer to one less than 5 years if I have multiple?
Okay, so before we get into the answer to this question, what do you think the name means? I'm curious. I love the names. We have Tony Monero. I don't know if you're on, Tony, but hi. We have we have Michael, who comes on, Swami, all the time. We've got a whole bunch of them. What do you think? What do you think the name means? What's the name again? Hold on, let's figure this out.
Mr., then the number 2, and MAC, Mr. Tumac.
Mr. Tumac. Okay. Mr. Tumac, I would put it in the one that has been open for 5 years or longer, but that is to be frank, if you, it wouldn't, under most situations, it's not going to matter much. I have a video on this. I'll put it in the description below, but there are so many reasons why most people wouldn't worry about this. The big things, you need to be over 59 and a half. And I'm assuming that you are, but if you're not, then it makes a world of difference. But I'll put the link in the description below, because there isn't one 5-year period, there are two. And it would take more than this live stream for me to explain to you why, under most circumstances, you probably don't need to worry about it. But instead of doing that, check the description box tomorrow, and I will have the link to the video for you in there, and it'll walk it through. It's a pretty complicated answer, but check it tomorrow, and I think that after you go through the video, you'll have your own answer on that.
Okay, GM is asking, I'm a 60-year-old widow receiving benefits on my late husband's record while caring for my disabled adult daughter. When should I claim my own retirement benefit versus survivor benefits to maximize lifetime income?
Yeah. A lot of it depends. There's so many variables here, but the two big ones are, it's the interplay between what the size of your benefit is and the size of the survivor benefit. The survivor benefit, in my opinion, is one of the best benefits that Social Security offers, because it allows you to do some things that the spousal benefit does not. First, you can claim the survivor benefit and let your own benefit grow. If you claim the spousal benefit, or if you claim your own benefit, then you subsequently claim the spousal benefit often is reduced because you claimed part of Social Security early. But in this instance, if you claim one, the other can grow. The survivor benefit won't grow past your own full retirement age. At your own full retirement age, you get 100% of the deceased's Social Security payment. So that if all things were equal, then you would take the survivor benefit and let your own benefit grow until age 70. But you need to really sit down with a financial planner or financial planning software, at the very least, and go through with your specific numbers side by side. If I take the survivor benefit first and let the spousal benefit grow because I get this X in my survivor benefit and Y in my spousal, if I get X in my survivor benefit and Y in my own benefit, which one comes out ahead? And understand that the big pivot point is that your survivor benefit stops growing at your own full retirement age.
Okay, Mr. Tumac came back with Toyota MR2 driver.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That was going to haunt me for the rest of the night. So thank you, Tumac. Thank you.
Lisa G. Posty is asking, I would like to retire August 31st. Our company's end of fiscal year. If I start Social Security early, starting September, will Social Security count on my earnings I've made this year to the cap I'm 63.
No, the first year rule applies here, and the first year rule basically says that, and this is why you would never have this happen, but this situation, the first year rule says that if you are working and you haven't claimed Social Security yet, not until you claim Social Security do you start measuring the cap. Well, the problem is if you're working until the end of August and you claim Social Security in September, and you've earned 8/12 of the year in terms of income, you're probably going to blow right through the cap if they measured it on a yearly basis, but they don't. Your first year, they measure it on a monthly basis, starting in September in your case. And so in September, assuming this isn't your full retirement age year, the cap is $2,000, $2,040 a month. And for every $2 you go over that cap, you have to give $1 back. Starting next year, then it becomes an annual test. But in your first year, it's a monthly test.
All right. C. Crow has a question. Why would someone choose not to enroll in Medicare if they already have other health insurance? What are the pros, cons, and risks of skipping Medicare altogether?
Well, nobody's forced to enroll in Medicare. There are just some pretty severe penalties if you later decide you want to take Medicare. So that's the con. But there are some situations where you don't have to take it at 65, and the most obvious one is if you have creditable insurance. Creditable insurance means that you work for an employer that has 20 or more, or your partner, your spouse works for an employer that has 20 more employees, and you're either on your plan or your spouse's plan, respectively, and therefore you're covered with a health insurance plan. If you are on a creditable plan, then you don't need to start Medicare. If you're looking at just foregoing Medicare altogether, I mean, I've actually never heard of anybody doing that unless they just were leaving the country and they weren't coming back, but or they were veterans and they were relying on the VA. But even then, you just need to be crystal clear on what your coverage is with the VA versus your coverage with a good Medigap plan.
All right, Paul is asking, I claimed Social Security at 70. My wife is 65 and her full retirement age is 67. Should she claim now, wait until full retirement age, or delay beyond full retirement age? What's the most financially advantageous strategy considering longevity and the possibility of future benefit cuts?
So should she claim her own benefit now, or should she claim the spousal benefit now? Does the question distinguish between the two?
I claimed at 70. My wife is 65. Her full retirement age is 67. Should she claim now, wait until full retirement age, or delay beyond?
Let's take this and make the assumption that you're talking about two different benefits. And if that's not the case, just put it in the chat. There is such a diverse amount of information on making this choice, because you need to make the decision, particularly if it's your spouse, whether she claims her own benefit early and then she's going to switch to the spousal benefit, if she's going to claim the spousal benefit because it's the bigger benefit, or if you're talking about something else. You also need to make a decision on I call it the purpose. If you look at the Social Security website 20 years ago, there was only one purpose, and that is getting the maximum amount of dollars. And there was only one measure, and that was break even. And I always had an issue with this because break even it's a wonderful calculation, but it's not the holy grail. There are a lot of other reasons why people delay or claim early. People delay because they want to protect their spouse with the survivor benefit. And so therefore they might delay until age 70. And that goes both ways, by the way. Not just you with your spouse, but her with you. Another reason people delay is because they're worried about not having long-term care coverage and they want more cash flow. Conversely, people claim right away because they want to enjoy that part of their life and they have enough. And so they want to enjoy the go-go years of retirement. And then some people delay, or some people claim early because they need the money. There isn't one right or wrong answer here, but you need to find the purpose for what it is that you want. If it's about maximizing total dollars, well, you got to look at your health situation and your partner's health situation, look at your family history. And then the best you can do is give it an educated guess. Unfortunately, nobody's guaranteed tomorrow, but you can put odds on what it's like. And so if that's the direction you want to go, then just look at the odds.
All right, great. So VF is asking an emailed question. I collected survivor benefits, but stopped because my earnings exceeded the limit. I now owe Social Security about $11,000. Social Security suggested restarting benefits in 2027 and letting them withhold checks until the overpayment is repaid. Is that a good strategy?
It might be the only strategy given what you just said. There isn't really, you can claim survivor benefits, you can claim your own benefit, but there is an earnings limit in place, and there's no way to bypass that. And so unless you're full retirement age. Once you reach full retirement age, then you can earn as much as you want. And then beyond full retirement age, you could earn $1 billion a year, and the SSA can't take any of it back. But the earnings limit is a rule now. They're talking about eliminating it. So if they eliminate it, it would be a different discussion. I don't think it's reached the point where it's likely yet. It's still at the think tank stage, and it's being mulled around in both the House and the Senate. But they're sitting in, the decision hasn't even been opened up to the broader House and Senate. It's in subcommittees. So I don't know that you have another option. It sounds like you have to do this, or you're going to just have to get a notice every 6 months and write them a check, which sounds pretty painful to me.
All right, Malia is asking an IRMA question. Will IRMA be based on income from 2 years before age 65 or 2 years before my Part B coverage begins? It's an emailed question.
2 years before your Part B coverage begins. So if you were on creditable insurance until age 70, and that's when you took you took Medicare and you went with Medicare Part B at that point, because that's what you do right before you file for, or right before you get a Medigap policy or a Medicare Advantage policy, then that would mean that at age 68, your income from that year would be used to determine your IRMA surcharge at age 70.
And Michael Swami just responded to his YouTube name is his last name scrambled, and he has been called that since high school. Just a little bit.
All right. See, Michael, I know your name by heart because Jill always asks, I wonder if Michael Swami is going to be on tonight. And I always ask, I wonder if Tony Monero is going to be on. So it's
because of the it took a while to get his book out, remember, because we had so many. So that's why I'm always like, good.
That's great. Well, we're glad you got the book, Michael. Tony, if you have a question, put it in the chat.
And that goes for everybody. We have been going through all the questions in the chat box, and we will continue through email, but we still have a good 6 minutes left. So if you have more questions, please do keep coming them into the chat box. Julie is asking, a severance package triggered IRMA 2 years later. Will the higher premium continue forever?
No. It's a one-time or 1 year thing. And actually, if you've lost your job, that might be a reason for you not to have to pay the higher IRMA surcharge. So you can appeal it. And in fact, you can appeal it early. You don't have to wait until it happens. if you think it's coming, then just put your application in now.
All right, Mary's asking, should I claim Social Security at full retirement age while continuing to work for another year?
Normally, I give people the warning, just make sure that you understand what the earnings test was. But in your case, at full retirement age, you don't have to worry about that. It depends on your specific situation. You're clear of the earnings test at full retirement age, so it really comes down to, I guess, number one, you weigh the pros and the cons of the extra income by waiting 8%, let's say, versus having an extra year of Social Security. That's the balancing act right there. And if you feel like the extra year of Social Security outweighs the extra 8% for the rest of your life, maybe. But you'll have to look at your own financial situation and see if it makes sense for you. Also, what would you do with the money? And so if you were to look at the University of Michigan study, 90% plus people take Social Security at the wrong time, either too early or too late, because they just do what a friend tells them to do. They don't do the analytics. But one of the things that I do in my course, Social Security Simplified, is I never tell people how to claim, but I give them 25 framing questions to help them make the decision on their own. And by the time they're done, they've got a pretty good idea of what they should do.
All right, Terry Tennant typed Ari's book into the chat box. So Terry Tennant, if you are still here with us, you don't want to type Ari's book into the chat box. You need to email that in. And so I am putting that link right here. So just email to livestream@holyschmidt.com and then type Ari's book there. And then we can send that to you. You cannot put your email into the chat box, but we would love to hear from you. So just send your email there. And Melody Beatrice said she just received her book. So she's happy to have gotten that. Peggy is asking, what is the spousal benefit?
The spousal benefit is a provision in Social Security that basically says that if you have a primary earner, then the spouse can get up to 50% of the primary earner's Social Security payment at the spouse's full retirement age. It's reduced from there, but if the spouse files at full retirement age, then you can get up to 50%.
All right, Melody is asking, what does IRMA stand for?
Income related monthly adjustment amount. It's a acronym, and basically it means that if you've earned over a certain amount of money, you have to pay more for your Medicare Part B premium and your Medicare Part D costs. And statistically, 90% plus people don't ever pay it. But if you're in the 10%, it is a doozy. It is one that if you go $1 over the limit, you have to pay the full surcharge. It's not like tax. When you move from one tax bracket to the next, you pay the lower tax bracket on this income, you pay the higher tax bracket on this income. But if you move into the higher threshold, the higher tier with IRMA, even by $1, you owe the full IRMA surcharge, not just on $1, the full surcharge.
Okay. And Penelope's asking, Jeff, any opinion as to whether married spousal benefits might end up on the cutting block?
I don't think that's likely. No, there's every week or two we get questions from people based on what's hot in the news. And for those of you who don't know, I was in USA Today the other day. But what I noticed is that USA Today is a wonderful publication, by the way. But what I noticed is that as I was gathering information about the interview, just for the website, holyschmidt.com, I did a bit of Googling, and USA Today put out the article, and then immediately within a day or two, there were a lot of other publications that put out a similar article. And so what ends up happening is there's a there's a soundbite that gets out there, and it reverberates across the media because it was popular with USA Today, so it must be popular. Let's all do the same thing. Last week, that reverberation was the elimination of the earnings test. This week, it's the elimination of the spousal benefit, but there's nothing going on with that. I don't think it's likely.
All right, we are at the top of the hour, and just want to thank everyone for adjusting their schedules to come tonight. I don't think we've ever gotten all the way through the chat box. We asked every question in the chat box. We still do have more from email, so we'll try to get to those next time. But I will turn it back over to you, Jeff.
Gang, thanks so much for staying with us. Thanks for switching to Monday night. We'll probably have a little bit lower turnout tonight because people bank on Tuesday but not Monday. But even a train needs to stop sometime, and I need to go on vacation. So we will be back not next Tuesday. My vacation ends next Wednesday. So next Thursday we will have our live stream instead of next Tuesday. So we will be back here. I guess that's in 10 days. So we will see you in 10 days. Thank you for tuning in. 8 o'clock New York time. It's late for us. It's late for you, but it's very important that we see you and we have these live streams. So we appreciate you attending, even if you have other things to do. Jill, thank you so much for leading the way through all of the questions, both in the write-in and the list of questions that we have. And gang, we will see you in about 10 days. Take care, everybody, and have a great night.